Yo, once again, it's on. Back at you one more again. Real Kens TV in the house like kitchen sinks. Before we get into today's story, understand that I'm the self-proclaimed Mr. 30 Minutes or Better. Meaning that anytime I drop a story, it's guaranteed to be 30 minutes or better. So if you're on your way to work, you're at work, you don't feel like being there, as we so often don't. You're on your way home from work, you need to laugh, you need to cry. Perhaps you're trying to lay down and take a nap, or you're trying to go to sleep at night, depending on whatever time you're viewing or listening to this video. Or you're just in the mood for a good old-fashioned true, keyword being true, penitentiary / life story / life experience. This is the channel for you. If you like your 8, 10, 15-minute videos, absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But a Real Kens TV is 30 minutes or better. So with all that being said, there is a message. I was thinking back about some of the things that have transpired in my life, and not necessarily specifically pertaining to me, but just the things around me, the surroundings, the people that I came up with. And it's like, wow, lost a lot on the way. 2 brothers. You got Craig and Kevin. Most people thought that Craig and Kevin were twins, but they weren't. They were literally 11 months apart. Looked dead on each other. No disrespect whatsoever. I guess the mother, you know, she didn't waste no time. So that they were 11 months apart, and they were known out in the streets. You know, they were good athletes coming up. But oftentimes, you know, when you're playing youth football and basketball and, you know, baseball, whatever, you kind of venture away from that the older you get. They didn't have a lot coming up. And both of them were very, very decent athletes. I've met a lot of twins. I'm not going to say a lot, but I know a few sets of twins in which they were good / great athletes. These 2 individuals, you know, got through high school or whatnot and started hustling in the streets. Actually, they were already hustling in the streets prior to graduating high school. But they got through high school and they were hustling and doing their thing or whatever. But they were also jack boys. Meaning that they're going to stick you up. Now, it was primarily the oldest one, which was Kevin. Kevin was the oldest one, as I just clearly mentioned. He was more so of a stick-up kid. Craig was more about, you know, getting his bread in the streets, you know, like hustling and stacking his money or whatever. So the 2 of them formed a reputation as, okay, you know, they solid in the streets. Let me give you all a vivid image, if you will. Both black guys. A little bit darker than me. At the time, they had short haircuts, medium build, probably, because as I mentioned, they looked like they were twins. So they was probably about 180, 185 pounds. I can't really remember exactly how tall they were at the time. So being that I can't remember exactly how tall they were, we're just going to say they were 5'11". Because 9.99999 times out of 10, they were probably 5'11" anyway. Y'all rock with me, man. I'm in Lexington, Kentucky, man. Let me know. Jump in the comments. Let me know where you're chiming in from. If you're in a rush, it's not the channel for you. Because man, I'm telling you, man, I got a banger. This is a banger right here. You got to have time to really fully dissect what I'm speaking of today, because this is a banger. Y'all rock with me. Nothing like some good old apple juice, man. I just prefer mine in a cup. Respectfully. Shout out to all the truck drivers just as well. All the medical delivery supply people, drivers rather, the DoorDashers, the Uber drivers, the Lyft drivers, people pulling the 16-hour shifts, 12-hour shifts, 8-hour shifts, 4-hour shifts. Get your money. Shout out to all of you all, man. Much love, much respect. I keep wanting to refer to these individuals as twins, but they're not. But that's just how much they looked alike. They come up on the lick. Kevin goes to his brother and says, hey, bro, I got a lick for us. These dudes is in a spot. I got the drop. This is they spot. See, oftentimes when you hustle in the streets, you don't lay where you keep your action at. Your money, your work. Whatever you're doing that's illegal, you don't sleep in the same place. Kevin had to drop. I know we're going to come up on 60, 70 bands, at least. Now you have to understand, this was like in the 90s when this occurred. So that's how long ago this actually was. Craig being the younger brother, bro, you know, I really ain't on the whole stick-up thing. Let's just get this money in the streets, man, because you live by the sword. Guess what? You die by the sword. You keep jacking people, you know, pause, double pause, triple pause. Matter of fact, infinite pause. And I rarely use the infinite pause, but you can't just be talking about you be jacking people. You keep sticking people up. I don't know if I want to say. You keep robbing people. And it's going to come back to you, bro. Then you put me in the mix because I'm your brother. So you know what's going to happen. I got the ride for you, my brother. Nah, bro, I'm telling you, I got this, man. I got the drop on these fools, man. In and out. We surprise them. Get this 60, 70,000 plus take the work and we gone. Give me some time to think about it. Craig thinks about it. This is what it's going to be, bro. You the oldest brother. I respect you. I understand that you, but the only way that I'll partake in this whole ordeal, nobody gets hurt. See, the two of them had access, or actually they had big blowers. You know what I'm saying? Shotgun action. Mind you, it's the late 90s. Wasn't no ARs, and it might have been, but they weren't as common. I don't know when the ARs came. I don't really know anything about guns. Wasn't no switches, wasn't no, you know, people probably had revolvers. I don't know. But nevertheless, they had shotguns. They had, you know, they had big guns. We're just going to go in here. We're going to get this money, and we're going to be gone, bro. And we got to wear a mask. I'm not going in there without a mask. Kevin liked to, you know, when he stuck you up, he wants you to know it's him. As far as if it was on a street level type of ordeal. The two of them agree. They ride. Now, when they ride, this whole situation occurs in the projects. It's not in a house. It's not in regular apartments. No, this is in the hood, in the projects, where the projects. If you are familiar with the projects, then you know what the projects consist of. Surrounded by. You know the environment of being in the hood. Boom, they kick the door in. They go inside, it's three of them. Both of them got the shotguns. Ain't nobody moving. Nobody move, nobody get hurt. Nobody move, nobody get hurt. Everybody's chill. Hold on. Put your hands in the air. Keep them where I can see them. You got one that's watching the three dudes, which is Craig. And you got Kevin. Man, get it out. Take me to the spot, man. The safe, wherever it's at. Get it out. Man, we ain't got none. I'm going to tell you one more time. You know them shotguns. You cock. You got one more time, bro. And you're going to meet your maker. All right, bro. I'm going to get it out. Dude goes to a spot or whatever. Puts it in a bag. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of work. They get it right out. In the meanwhile, Craig is watching everybody. Anybody moves, y'all know what's going to happen. It's two people that he's watching, though. As they're coming back, the other dude that goes and gets the action out of the safe or wherever it was being held at, he sits down on the couch. Sit down on the couch. They're about to leave. They got a bag full of money, work. the plan was going exactly as planned, which is very, very rare. Typically, criminal activity does not go as according to plan, especially robberies. Everything is smooth. It's always going to be an individual that wants to be a hero. Yeah, y'all think y'all slick. That's what they were saying in the 90s. Y'all think y'all slick. We're going to get you, Kevin. Yeah, we're going to get you. They know exactly who Kevin is. Although they have on the mask, they knew exactly. I'm thinking that they knew because Kevin and Craig were both 5'11". That's the only thing that I can think of as far as why they knew exactly, you know, who Kevin was. Nevertheless, Kevin wants to smoke everybody. No witnesses. We're not leaving nothing behind. Craig, voice of reason. No, bro, we already got the money. We got the work, man. No, man, we good, man. Let's go. Bro, they know who we are, man. You know what I'm saying? Man, forget all that. We'll just hold court in the streets, man. We'll deal with this in the streets. But we got the bread. Let's go, bro. Let's go. Kevin couldn't let it go. They could have been gone, but Kevin wants to smoke everybody in the house. As the two of them were going back and forth, Craig, and he the younger brother, he's never taken his eyes off the three individuals that are actually the victims. Despite what they may be doing in the streets, despite, you know, the wrong that they're doing, two wrongs don't make it right, and they're victims in this particular scenario. One of the dudes sitting on the couch, he's sitting right beside a lamp. Lamps were very, very common. The type of lamp, it wasn't like a lamp that sit on the table. It was like one of the taller lamps. Lit up the whole living room area. He sees the two of them arguing, but they're not really arguing. They just kind of going back and forth like, bro, let's get on out of here. The opportunity was seized. Dude reaches over and pulls the plug out of the wall. When he pulls the plug out of the wall, the apartment goes totally dark. Can't see anything. Gunshots. Boom, 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 boom. That's all you heard. You know how on the movies to where the police, you might have an individual that's, let's say he has himself barricaded in the room, lights is out, SWAT decides, nah, we're not waiting any longer, we're going in. I'm going in, and I'm going to go hard, they going in. The camera scene will show that it's dark in the room, but all you see is just like, it's like fireworks inside, and it's gunshots just being fired. That's how it was in this situation. Boom, boom, boom. When it was all said and done, one person lost their life. Another individual was shot. And by the grace of God, the third individual that was there wasn't touched whatsoever. But on the flip side, as far as Kevin and Craig, Kevin was straight. Craig takes a bullet to the leg from his own brother. From his own brother. Obviously, it wasn't intentional. But it's dark inside the room. It's a shootout. This thing lasts 30, 45 seconds, maybe even a minute. I don't understand because the two were kind of side by side, but nevertheless, he ended up taking a wound to the leg. Shotgun. I don't know if what I'm thinking is it bounced off of something and it came back and ricocheted or whatever and hit him in the leg because they were beside each other. So obviously he didn't point at him and down at his leg and boom. Again, I don't know a lot about firearms and things of that nature. But what I do know is what I know. And what I know is Craig took a deep one to the leg. Pause. They ended up getting out of there despite what had happened. We got to go, and we got to go quick. No, the police is coming. We're in the projects, man. During the process of the gunfire, shots was going through the walls. It was people that was in, you know, beside them, below them, you know, above them. Luckily, nobody else ended up getting injured. They escaped the situation. This wasn't even a hood. They weren't even from this area. Craig has messed around. Sure, we got a bag full of money and work, but Craig has messed around. He's been shot in the leg with a shotgun. He really needs to go to the hospital. But how can I go to the hospital? If I go to the hospital, they're automatically gonna connect me to this situation. One would ask, but if there was blood on the scene, they're gonna connect you to the situation anyway. I don't know. This was in the 90s. DNA was a little different back then. I don't know. Kids don't know the answer to everything. I just know the story. He's able to somehow heal his leg, not go to the hospital. They feel as though they're scot-free. Nothing ever came about it. A couple years went past. It never was no beef in the streets. And, you know, I'm sure the streets were talking. The streets knew who did it. But the streets is the streets. As I mentioned previously, you hold court in the streets, man. Y'all keep rocking with me. I told you, man, this is a banger today. A couple years goes past. Now, what I failed to mention is there was a third individual. Now, the third individual that was there, he was just a driver. He didn't even go inside. He was the driver. Nevertheless, just because you're just a driver, y'all have to excuse this sun. It's getting hot and hurt. So take off all your clothes. It's getting hot and hurt. The third individual ended up catching a case, a robbery case. Same scenario. He was a driver. Didn't kill nothing, wasn't going to let nothing die, which is a great thing. Killers aren't praised. Yeah, they're praised in the streets, they're praised in the penitentiary, but in the real life society, in the major realm of things, you're a killer, dude. You're not praised for that. The vast minority may praise you for that. But in the major scheme of things, with real life society, the 98% of the people are not in prison, and they don't praise you for killing people. Ends up getting caught up, as I mentioned. Man, I know about something, man. If y'all let me go or y'all take it easy on me or whatever, man, I can give y'all information on a unalive murder. It's murder! I know it all. I know the whole spiel. I know the whole 411. He tells the police about, you know, what happened. Tells the detectives about the situation with two brothers. Kevin and Craig. Police starts to investigate. They put 2 and 2 together. They go pick them up. So I'm in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Commonwealth of Kentucky, it don't take much. You say somebody did something, man, they'll come and pick you up in a heartbeat if they choose to. If it's a situation, a case that they want to pursue, they're going to come and pick you up. No evidence, no nothing. They're just going to pick you up. And they're going to hold you and see if they can indict you. 2 brothers weren't seeing eye to eye. You see, Craig being the younger brother, he was more so of the thinker, the brains. Voice of reasoning. Bro, all this could have been avoided if we had the money, we should have just left. as I previously mentioned. Yeah, bro, but they knew our name. They knew who I was. It doesn't matter, man. What's going to happen is going to happen. We're going to, in the streets, we'll deal with that. But we should have left. But being that we didn't, look what ultimately ended up happening. They weren't seeing eye to eye. Weren't really rocking with each other. It's kind of weird because they got the same mother, same daddy. Holidays or what have you, they could be around each other. It wasn't beef. But Craig was more of a, he just wanted to get money, man. He was regretting the whole situation. Why I let my brother get me involved in this situation? They're in the county jail at this point. Police done picked them up. They're being interviewed or what do you call that when they take you interrogated by the detectives individually. Neither one of them saying, man, I don't know what you're talking about, man. Again, Craig's a smart man. Man, give me a lawyer, man. Give me a lawyer. I ain't got nothing to say to you. Kevin's smart too, but he's going to try to talk his way out of the situation. To no avail. Both in the county jail. Booked on several charges. Murder. Facing a death penalty. Yeah, they're trying to say that this was premeditated. Based on the driver. They got caught up in something totally unrelated a couple years later, 2 or 3 years later. But he always kind of had that in his, he had that in the cut, waiting, okay, if anything ever happens, I got this. He utilized it. One in the chamber, if you will. They're in the county for about 2.5 years. They're not in the same pot and not in the same cell. They're separate, but they would see each other from time to time when they went to court. One thing I say about them brothers, man, they never said nothing. They remained solid. Both of them. The two of them, they both remained solid. Nobody said anything. Think about a court case. The closer you get to trial, the more intense it gets. When those prosecutors, they'll tell you, hey, listen, this is what our offer is, and we're not coming up off it. It's the only offer we're going to offer you. Lies that they tell. They'll come up off the offer. Unless it's just in a situation where, you just can't beat it. Never take the first offer. I never take the second offer. But that was just me. I would recommend you just don't get yourself in a situation, period, to where you an offer has to be extended to you in the first place. Just do the right thing and don't do dirt. Looking at a situation where the death penalty is on the table, they're offering the two a life sentence. And I ain't taking no life sentence. Craig was in agreement to that, and I ain't taking no life. A few months later, came down to 25 to life. 25 to life means you do 25 years and then you have an opportunity of parole. These dudes was young at the time. They were maybe 22, 23 years old. I don't even know if they were that old when I really think about it. I want to say they were closer to about 20. 20, 21 at the most. Nah, I ain't trying to take no 25 to L. 25 with L? No, I'm not trying to do 25. No. People came down to 25 years. Right before trial, the prosecution, when I say the prosecution came down to 25 years. Back then, truthful sentencing meant you did 50% of your time before you went up for parole. They do 12.5 years. They already been in the county 2.5 years. 10 more years. We're in our early 20s, man. We'll potentially be out in our early 30s at worst case scenario because you still have good time in classes that you can take. We'll be out in our 30s, mid-30s. This is how Craig was speaking. They're all in one room. Craig, Kevin, they're individual lawyers in the prosecution. Think about it, they both had to agree unless one was going to turn state evidence. Kevin was trying to take it to the box. He felt like, man, bro, we was looking at the death penalty. Then they came to life. Then they came with 25 to life. Then they came with, you know, it was several different offers that they offered. I just told you all a couple of them. They ain't got nothing, bruh. They got one dude that's going to get on the stands. He's a convicted felon. He got caught up on a robbery charge. He's going to say whatever he can say to help himself out. They ain't got nothing on us, bruh. See, the other individuals that survived the whole robbery ordeal, they didn't say anything. They weren't, you know, working with the state whatsoever. But they ain't got nothing, man. Let's take us to the box. We can walk out of here. Trial's going to last for about a week or two, but after that, man, we'll walk out of here. Again, Craig's the younger brother, bro. I'm not trying to risk that, man. Anytime you got somebody on the stands that's pointing the finger and say, he did this, he did that, he shot, I drove him, I know the whole plan, it's not worth it. Only problem was, either you all both take the deal, or you all both go to trial, unless one decides to turn state. As mad as Craig was at his own brother, that was 11 months older than him, he would never, ever take the stands on his brother. Okay, well, let's go to trial then. As a result, they end up going to trial. They go to trial, jury comes back guilty, end up getting 25 to life. 25 to life. Now, the jury could have given them just a life sentence in general, but they got 25 to life. Once again, meaning that you do 25 years, then you have an opportunity to make parole, but they don't have to give you parole. They're in jail. They're not at the same location at this point. You know, they're at the same location as far as when they left trial. They both go back to the county jail, but after about a month or so, they're going to ship you off to the penitentiary. Back then, they're going to ship you off faster than a month. A couple weeks, you gone. You gone to the joint. Craig's really not rocking with his brother. My brother done got me a life sentence, 25 to life. Anything over 15 years, get a direct appeal. Anything over 15 years, you automatically go in for appeal. But it takes years. People be like, I'm going to give his time back. I'm going to appeal it. Yeah, you can. But it don't just happen overnight. You know how many cases that the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeals is just waiting to hear, waiting to look at, to view. Four or 5 years goes past. Craig gets some action on his case. It was one crime, but as I mentioned, they had two separate attorneys. Craig gets his case remanded. Instead of getting 25 to life, gets, like, when your case is remanded, basically means it starts all over. So they send him from the penitentiary after about, let's say, 5 years in the joint. They send him from the penitentiary back to the county jail. His case was remanded. Has to go through the whole process all over again. When he goes through the whole process all over again, he ends up taking a plea deal. 40 years. A regular 40 years, though. Meaning that a regular 40 years, you do 20% of your time, you do 8 years, then you go for parole. He takes the deal. They send him back to the penitentiary. Now he's on the same yard as his brother. He's pretty much eligible for parole. Like I said, it took him about 4 or 5 years for his appeal. He had already been in the county 2.5 years. He didn't have much time left before he went up for parole. In the meanwhile, Kevin, he was the aggressor in the situation. He was the shooter in the situation. His appeal was denied. 25 to life. Being that they're on the same yard, there's still some friction going on. Kevin's running around the yard doing stuff that Craig just did not approve of whatsoever. About a year and a half later, 2 years, Craig goes up for parole. Parole board gives him 60 months. Come back and see us in 60 months. Man, they gave me 60 months. I ain't never getting out. That's the mentality that he had, but when you really, really look at it, he was going to get out. But when you get a deferment from the parole board and you think you have an opportunity to go home and they hit you with, you know, he was thinking that they would give him maybe 24 months, 36 months. Man, they gave me 60 months. 2 of them end up getting cool again. They running around the yard wilding. As I mentioned, they were both known in the streets. A lot of homeboys from Lexington, you know, that was on the yard with him. Kevin's running around terrorizing, you know, what he can terrorize. Craig's looking at it like, bro, I got another 5 years, man. They probably ain't going to let me out there. And I got a 40-year sentence. I don't have nothing but, you know, at the time, 13 years in on the sentence. It's going to be a long time before I go home. After a couple years, that voice of reasoning, once again, set in on Craig's mind. I got a chance to go home, man. I'm running around here, man, doing dumb stuff, getting in fights, extorting people. In the meanwhile, my brother Kevin, he's doing the same, but he's starting to venture over into the homosexuality. I'm not saying it, but I'm hearing about it and people's talking about it, and I don't approve of that whatsoever. So I got to fall back. Falls all the way back from his brother. He don't really even kick it with his brother no more. Now there's beef. It's tension. Kevin feels as though, man, you my brother. You supposed to ride with me, man. These niggas down here, man, they got something to say, man. Ride with us. Bro, I'm trying to get home, man. I got young kids. We came in at a young age. I got young kids that don't even know me. I'm trying to get home, man. I got an opportunity to go home, and you do too. Even though you got 25 to life, keep fighting your case, keep appealing it or whatever. But you have an opportunity to go home. When you go before this parole board and they say all these write-ups and fights and extortion and stabbings or whatever, because they was about it. They was about it. Both of them was about it. As I mentioned, Craig falls all the way back. 2 of them don't even really speak much on the yard. 60 months goes past. This particular time, Craig has about 13 years in on a 40-year sentence. They ended up giving him, I want to say they ended up giving him 24 more months. They tell him to go through the substance abuse program. It's called SAP. In the state of Kentucky, it's called SAP. Typically, once you go through the SAP program, you're going to go home. 95%, 92% chance of you going home. Does everything he's supposed to do, goes through the SAP program, give him parole. 15 years in on a 40-year sentence. Craig's gone. Kevin really, really feels some type of way. They weren't really speaking anyway. Rock with me. Kevin feels some type of way about his brother as he had for several years. Criminal thinking, criminal behavior. Man, that's supposed to be my brother, man. You're supposed to ride for me. I'm supposed to stay in the penitentiary for you forever. Craig comes home. He's doing well. He's working. He's with his kids. He ends up making, you know, another child. Craig had been home for about 2 years. He's telling me the whole skit, the whole scenario, the whole story. We're at the Rotary Farm together. The Rotary Farm is where they go, as I've talked about previously. You go to the Rotary Farm before you go to prison. But the Rotary Farm really is prison. So you leave the county jail, they send you to the Rotary. That's where you go, you get your medical exams, your mental, your physical evaluation. They classify you. And then from there, you go to whatever prison you're going to go to. Some states call it processing. I don't know. In Kentucky, it's called the Rotary Farm. We're on the same bus together. The Grey Goose. He's telling me the whole skit. He ends up getting sent back for like a DUI or something. Something crazy. He was in the car and he had been drinking, but the car was not running, but the keys were in the ignition. They gave him a DUI, so they sent him back to prison. He goes back to prison. He sees the parole board. The parole board gives him 12 months. He's happy because he's thinking, man, I got all this time still hanging over my head. There's no telling how much time they're going to give me. They give him 12 months, gets to get back out. From the Rotary Farm, we get separated. Whatever prison they send him to, they send me to a different prison or whatever. So I don't see him at that point. Does the 12 months, he comes home. He's home for some years. I get out. I end up running into him a couple years later or what have you. We in a club one night or whatever. We just kicking it. We talking or whatever. He's talking about his brother Kevin, man. My brother Kevin, man, we ain't even talk, man, because he mad at me because he's still down there on foolishness. He's still down there running the yard doing dumb stuff. And I wanted to get home. I'm home to my family, man. I got another baby on the way. I'm home to my family, man. I couldn't continue to do the dumb things that he did and that he continues to do. We kicked it that night. I didn't meet him at the club. He didn't meet me at the club. We were just, you know how it is. We was vibing. I seen him. We kicked it for about 20 minutes or so, 30 minutes. I don't see him anymore. Another few years goes past. We didn't run in the same circles. I look on the news. Black man gunned down. Out of all people, it was Craig. Ends up getting gunned down, man. I don't know the intricacies, the ins and outs of the situation that happened. But he was one of those individuals that makes you like, why would anybody, he's cool. Why would anybody do anything to Craig? See, the thing about street beef, it doesn't go anywhere. It could have been new beef. But at the same time, it could have been from years prior. Just because you change your life, it don't mean that, okay, you know what? Brian ain't in the streets no more. He ain't doing what he once did. So, nah, we going to take a eraser and we going to forget about everything that happened. Not saying that it was because of that, but I'm not saying that it wasn't because of that. But nevertheless, Craig is no longer with us. This girl was pregnant. Already had, I think, 3 kids, 2 or 3 kids definitely prior to that. He's gone. Very, 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 very sad situation. At the funeral, his mother spoke. She talked about the disappointment and as far as what had transpired and what had occurred. What prompted me to tell this story is because I read all my comments. And somebody jumped in my comments and they were talking about kids. A mother's heart is really, really broken when their child or children are in the penitentiary. Despite how old you are, you're always going to be kids to your parents, children to your parents. I don't care if you're 40. That's my child. And I looked at that and I responded and I said, but what you have to understand is this. While you are right, I've heard mothers say, despite my kids, my son being in the penitentiary, at least I know that he's safe. At least I know that at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm not going to get that phone call. Ma'am, are you Craig's mother? No, you don't want your child in prison. Prison is violent. Goons, lions, tigers, birds, hyenas. But for the most part in prison, man, you're going to be safe. Prison is more safe than these mean streets. And I never will forget her saying that at the funeral. I didn't want my sons to be in prison, but I knew that they were safe at night. My phone wasn't going to ring telling me to come down to the police station to identify a body, or wherever you identify a body at. It hit me deeply, man. Thought about that, still think about it to this day. Kevin was Craig, rather. Good dude, really. Was just in them streets. And he had one foot in and one foot out. He was going to school. Actually, he was trying to get his CDL. He was becoming a truck driver. Never really happened for him. R.I.P. to Craig. As far as Kevin, he's still in the penitentiary. I know that he's about to go up for parole. And from what I hear, you know, he's been wilding out for 25 years. Parole board's not going to just, oh, okay, you've done 25 years. Well, what have you done with these 25 years? Because in their eyes, he's a stone cold killer. Man, you got 157 write-ups. You got fights, you got stabbings, you got this type of activity, that type of activity. Think about having a life sentence. They can do whatever they want to do to you, they can do. Come back and see us in 10 years. Come back and see us in 5 years. We're going to serve you out. Meaning if we serve you out, come back and see us in, I'm not exactly sure what it is, because you still go back up for parole if they serve you out. I think it's 12 years or 20 years. It's one of the two. Either or, it's not good. Come back and see us in 12 years. Choices, man. We all have choices in life, man. Don't throw your life away trying to be cool out here. Trying to show your homies that you hard, that you about that action. Your homies ain't going to come and see you, ain't going to ride with you for 40 years. Do y'all watch Fleece Johnson? Hustler Spirit 502 featuring Big Lee and Fleece Johnson? I'm sure you do. He did 40 years flat in the penitentiary. Who wants to do 40 years in the penitentiary? A lot of people don't even make it to see 40. You do 40 years in the penitentiary? All these beautiful women out here. Your mother, you can go hug your mother. Ain't nothing like hugging your mother. If you have your father in your life, what's up, Pops? Your grandmother, your friends, you're in a joint, man. Hard ankles. Nobody cares nothing about you. Lose your life at any given moment, any given time. You have an opportunity, man. If you woke up and you out here on these streets, turn your life around, man, if need be. Do the right thing. Get you a skill. Go to school. Get a trade. Go to barber school. Do anything to stay out of these streets. Because all that little money that you making in the streets and you want to buy these $400 and $500 pair of Jordans and jeans and belts and all of that's going to be gone. People going to steal it. Once you catch a case, you're going to have to sell it off or it ain't going to be worth anything. Your lawyer's going to charge you 10 grand minimum. You're going to be calling home begging people to send money for commissary. Send money for you to be able to talk on the phone. JPay, send emails, and it's not worth it, man. Who cares if you in the in crowd, man? Who cares, man? You know who's winning? The nerds. The squares. The people that, when you in prison, man, including myself when I was there, man, you look stupid as all outdoors. Dudes be in prison trying to keep they uniforms neatly ironed and they fresh t-shirts and they fresh white shoes, because in Kentucky you got to wear white and gray shoes. Go to the barbershop 2 times a week. They trying to keep their hair. How you can do all that on the streets, man? Penitentiary ain't no joke, man. No stripes for going to the joint. Done over 10 years in the penitentiary, 3-time loser, man. Yeah, documented. Ain't nothing, I'm not proud of that whatsoever. I lost out 10 years of my daughter's life that's 26 years old at this point. 10 years of her life, I'm gone. Luckily, I was able to see her on visit. People, you know, my mother, her mother, they worked together, make sure she was able to see me and that connection. But nevertheless, 10 years out of her life, 10 years out of my life. But it's out of her life, my mother's life. I'm last. Gone. I'll never get that back. I don't care if I come up on $10 million. I'll never get that 10 years back that I spent being a knucklehead, not listening, thinking that I could outsmart the system, and going in and out of prison, man. Y'all take heed, man. You get one life, and one life only. It's not a video game. And once that life is gone, it's gone. What your kids gonna do? Y'all see a Diddy video? His little girl, she might have been 2 years old. She's singing happy birthday to her daddy. Then all the other kids are around. He got all the money in the world and can't get out, man. Y'all see Lil Durk? Y'all see Young Thug? Yeah, he ended up getting out. What, 15 years of probation? You know how hard that is to walk down 15 years of probation? Y'all see all these rappers, these celebrities catching these cases? These rich people, billionaires catching these cases. R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, everything you do comes back. You got some young, aggressive prosecutors. RICO is all they know. RICO is all they know. RICO and conspiracy. Man, I ain't even do nothing, man. I was just conspiracy. Facing 10 to 15 in the feds. You gonna get down or you gonna lay down for 15? Whichever one, we don't care. Take heed, man. Protect your life and protect yourself, man. Real Kens TV. Hopefully you like the video. Feel free to comment. Definitely share. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Be sure to hit that post notification. So anytime I bring you this action and this heat, guess what? You're amongst the first to receive. You all continue to check my videos. I'm dropping videos daily. You heard me? They don't want to send out my notifications. It's all good. Just understand that Mr. 30 Minutes or Better, we dropping every single day. So if you're in the mood to hear a good old-fashioned true, keyword being true, as I previously mentioned, check the channel, man. And I guarantee you, I got a banger for that ass. Pause. Triple pause. Real Kens TV.